What's up guys, Hershey here. Welcome back to the next video in the Beginner's Guide to Tarkov series. In this video, we're going to go ahead and be covering the first raid. What I mean by this is you're going to be covering the first time you've gone into a raid, trying to learn extracts, and what I think is the best way of going about doing this is. So in the last video, we covered what you should be bringing into your first raid as far as medications and weapon, backpack, and the such. But now that we've had that all set up, we're going to go back to the main menu, press escape from Tarkov, choose our PMC. The first map you should learn is customs. The reason I say this is because customs is a medium-sized map. There is a lot of borders on it, so it's easy to avoid going off the map or getting lost or getting killed by a landmine. And for a lot of the starting quests, this is the map you have to go to. So we're going to go ahead and choose customs daytime. So in this case, it's going to be 10 a.m. This would actually be 10 p.m. So let's go ahead and go 10 a.m. Anything after about 6 a.m. should be light enough for you to see without night vision. And anything later than about 8 o'clock, which would be 2000, is too dark. So I would suggest trying to stick to 6 a.m. and about 7 p.m., which would be 1900 hours. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and choose 10 a.m. For our first raid, we're going to do this offline. I recommend you do your first raid offline. The reason for this is so that you can learn the extracts. This is probably the most important thing. The last thing you want to do is to be walking around aimlessly on a map and not know where the hell you're going and then get lost and not be able to extract, or run into a firefight, run into scavs, whatever it may be. But go ahead, and the first few times you run the map until you are comfortable, we're going to go ahead and do this in offline. We're going to enable PvE, but let's change the AI difficulty and AI amount. We want them to be easy just so you can experience the AI on the maps, kind of get a feel for where they seem to spawn, but they shouldn't necessarily be a threat. It just allows you to kind of practice engaging a little bit and understanding kind of like, oh, I'm coming up on an area that might have scavs. Understand though that this will be a lot more difficult in an actual raid, not only with players, but with normal difficulty scavs. So this is just to get a feel for kind of where the scavs are without them being a huge threat. We'll leave the AI amount as online and click next. So now that you're on the screen, it tells us what time it is. Obviously you can see that we're offline because you don't see a searching for group page here. We can see our PMC with the gear that we're bringing in. And before we go ahead and click ready, what I suggest you do is tab out or bring up on a second screen a browser. And I personally use this website called mapgenie.io for Tarkov maps. Bring up a map either in the background, set your game to borderless, bring up a map in the background, or bring it up on a second screen. Since we're going to customs, we're going to go ahead and choose customs here. When you first get into this, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff on this. Let's go ahead and just do hide all. And the only ones we're going to work on is extractions and locations. Let's go ahead and blow this up a little bit. The reason I say this is your main priority for your first few raids is not to loot, it's not to kill scavs, it's not to kill PMCs, it's to learn the map and figure out where you have to extract. So generally this map is upside down. So technically up here at the top is south, this is north, and you have east and west. Most every map, when you spawn as a PMC, you're either going to spawn on the east side or you're going to spawn on the west side, and the extract is going to be on the opposite end. So now that we have this map open, let's go ahead and tab back into our game and ready up. All right, so we've just spawned into the map for the first time. It looks like it spawned us in a bush. I'm going to kind of get us out of that a little bit and kind of look around. Obviously, you're probably not going to know where the hell you are. Everything's going to be unfamiliar to you, and it's going to be a little difficult to kind of figure out what you're doing. We're just going to see if we can see any landmarks, see anything that looks familiar to us for the map. So I see that there's a train over there. There's like a big warehouse with like a fence here, and then there's a road with some signs over that way. So if we tap back out, let's just kind of look at the map, see where we are, see where there's trains. We got a train here, we got a train here, train obviously down here in this area. We got roads. And then obviously there's a bunch of warehouses too. But based off of where we're standing and what I see a train to my left, I see a warehouse in front of me, and a road with signs to my right. So just with a little bit of detective work, we can guesstimate that we're roughly right over in this area. We got the train to the left, we're on a road, got a big warehouse with a fence around it right in front of us, and then obviously a road with some signs heading off to the right. Go ahead and get back in the game. If you double tap O, you can see how much time you have left for your extractions, and it'll tell you a list of all the extractions you have available. So we have ZB13, we have Dorms VX, ZB11, Gas Station, and ZB12. The three that you see here that have question marks, those are optional or alternate extractions. They're not always available, and some of them require certain criteria to be met, that a light be on, like a spotlight be on, for you to be able to take that extract. The general extract when you spawn on the east side of the map here is actually going to be ZB11. ZB13 is something you can use, but it requires having a key and power being turned on. So what we're going to aim for is actually ZB11. So now that we kind of have a rough idea of where we are, since we know that we're over in this area, over here on the east side of the map, let's kind of figure out where ZB11 is. If we kind of scan the map across, we can see that ZB11 is over here in this bottom right corner. So we know that we're roughly over in this area, and we need to make it all the way over here into the bottom right corner. There's a couple ways we can go about doing this. We could try to cut straight across the map, follow the road, and get ourselves over there. We can kind of go down and follow the edge of the map, or we can kind of go up and follow the top of the map. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and actually see where we can head on the bottom side of the map. Basically, I like to call it maze theory. It's like when you put your right hand on a wall and you basically slide your hand until you reach an exit. If you always keep your right hand on a wall, even if you hit dead ends, you will always reach an exit. So let's go ahead and give that one a shot. So let's tab back into our game. We know that we need to head that way. When you're first learning a map, I would highly suggest avoiding going straight through the middle of the map. It's very easy to get lost and not know exactly where you are. So learn the outskirts of the map when you start. In this case, since we spawned right here next to a wall, let's go ahead and follow this wall and keep the wall to our left-hand side until we reach our exit. So we're basically going to go ahead and start running and keep this wall to our left-hand side. If we run into a dead end, basically keep a wall to your left-hand side and keep following along. All right, we're passing the train and it looks like we still have a wall here to our left. Keep heading down. The wall is ending in this case, and it doesn't let us go into the water, but there is this bridge. Let's see if we can go across it. Same thing here. Water stops us. Another bridge. Let's go across it. Now that we're on the other bank, let's go ahead and keep following it to the left. All right, so we've kept following along the wall, keeping it to our left. And here's a prime example of one of the alternate extracts. If I double tap O, we can see that there's this vehicle here. This gate is open, it's running. And right here, it's called Dorms VX. This is Dorms right here to our right-hand side. If we look at the map, we can kind of figure out where we are, where we've been heading. We can see Dorms VX up here, Old Road Gate, Dorms. So we can assume we're right in this area, right at this alternate extract. If you absolutely wanted to, you could take this extract, but you can see in the top right corner, it requires having 5,000 rubles. And it allows for up to 4 people to take it. The other thing to note is it takes about 60 seconds for this to activate, and you need to stay near the vehicle. You can walk away from it if you want to, and then come back right before the time ends, but it takes a little bit longer to extract, and you need money to do so. This does help with scav karma, so that's something to always keep in mind. If you have the space that you can bring like 10,000 rubles with you, just in case you ever want to take these extracts, it's always good to do. Let's go ahead and keep on moving, keeping the wall to our left. All right, so there's an opening in the wall. It looks like we can head through and kind of follow the wall around into the corner. Now we got another fence to our left. While you're doing this process, I would suggest looking at your map occasionally and trying to figure out where you think you are based off of landmarks. So we had just popped through and it looks like we're up near like a signal tower and we can see a train off the distance. So we can kind of assume that we're in this area right now. So we still have a little ways to go to finish getting over to ZB11, but we're almost there. All right, now it looks like we've reached another road. We have some cliffs in front of us. We can take a look at the map real quick, kind of get an idea where we might be. So we can see we've already passed this. We've already passed Dorms, followed along. We do see a road here and some more cliffs. So we're getting real close to the exit by now. Go ahead and pop back out of that and just keep doing what we've been doing, keeping the wall to our left-hand side. All right, now that we're in this corner, let's go ahead and try to figure out where the exit is. Let's go ahead and Alt Tab, zoom in a little bit. We can see that we just went past the 4 big silos. We went under some pipes, and we're kind of hanging out over in this far corner just near the train tracks. So you can see the road's bent here, and you can see that ZB11 is just inside where the road bends on the right-hand side of it. Let's tab back into our game. We can see the road right here. The warehouse is just past. And obviously, we see an iron gate here that looks like it leads down to a bunker. It allows us to open that, and we can head down into it. We come all the way to the back side. You can see it actually is starting the extract for us. So something to note, for offline raids, you actually will not get to keep anything you come out with or any XP you get. The whole purpose of doing an offline raid is just to learn the map. For the first hour or so that you're playing the game, maybe even 2 hours, just kind of get a feel for learning the map, kind of understand it well enough that you know where the exits are and you know where you need to head, and that if you ever get lost, follow along the wall. Specifically here on customs, understand that there are snipers if you go too far past this train tracks. When you come to this blue wall, instead of following it around the corner, make sure you actually just cut across the train tracks and stay in front of these signs. If you go too far past, you'll get shot. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or feedback you want to leave me, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll go ahead and answer that when I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.